Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick. It was a relatively quiet morning until 20 minutes ago, and apparently peace talks are back on the menu, and that's the story of the morning. The whole market kind of, I don't want to say turned on that, but definitely changed the tone of the day. Stocks went up, oil went down. We'll talk about the implications of that headline. There's a couple individual stocks we want to hit on as well. Want to talk about FedEx, want to talk about Nielsen, and more. Stephanie Link is today's guest. You probably have seen her on CNBC. She's a contributor there and the CIO of Hightower. She'll be on at 8:30 or so, a few minutes after that. So a lot to get to. Big show. Smash the like button. Here we go.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Let's bring Joel on here. Joel, good morning. How are the charts? How are the stocks?
All right, my computer is overheating here. I'm gonna have to turn the fan on. We are ripping. We're up 27 and 3/4 handles at 45, 95, 75. Caught a bid right off that 6 p.m. open. And nothing but good news, hopefully good news coming out of some peace negotiations. And the market's just ripping. That's all there is. And the daily resistance is so thin in here. I mentioned that yesterday. So I don't want to tell you what my next daily high is because you guys won't believe me. And it's not in the lower 4,600 handle. This is not good for crude, down 362 at 102.34. It's not good for gold. That's down 32.90 at 1912. Not good for silver, down 69 cents at 24 and a half. Bitcoin, big day yesterday, digesting here at 48,200, let's call it. And Ethereum kind of doing the same thing. So it's just, Ethereum's up $57 at 34.90.50. Triple D, I hope you're doing okay out there. I
Heads
see
on
that.
a swivel.
Yeah, holy mackerel.
Yeah, heads on a swivel. There is just a lot of movement. About 20 minutes ago or so,
Yeah.
I probably would say the headline breaking. Spencer, can you give us those details and we'll talk about the implications?
Spencer had his yogurt. Was that the headline that you're talking?
It was
No.
pretty good yogurt because the market.
Several headlines. Firing all at once here. Peace talks apparently were productive. Russia is scaling back its military operations in Kyiv, and that's the story.
That's the story, and you're sticking to it.
That's the story. Yep, that's
How
it.
come the market knew this? How come the market knew this for like 3, 4, 5,
last
6,
3
7,
weeks?
8? Yeah.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. We've seen this story before, and then nothing's materialized from it. So it's hard to just come in here and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to go buy stocks." Like, it's been a tough market. It's been a tough market. I've been talking about myself scrambling around, and you know what? It doesn't give you a pullback. It doesn't give you much. You got to keep scrambling to get in stocks, and every time you get a little pullback, money managers are scrambling. I'm scrambling. Everybody's scrambling to get back in because this is the path that continues to go higher here. A bias long overnight. It's good news for me overnight here. You've got to be biased somewhat. You don't have to be biased, but I mean, if you're biased short in this market, to your tweet storm last night, Joel, if you've been like keep trying to call, this got to start going down, it's got to start going down. Market doesn't have to do anything. And again, the long story short is in trading, you have to be able to identify when you're on the wrong side of the trade and adjust quickly. That's how you save yourself money, and that's how you have longevity in this industry. Because we're all going to be wrong, and if you're a day trader, you're going to be wrong every single day. You need to figure out, how to get on the right side of the trade when you're wrong and cut those losers, identify quickly. So here we are again. I mean, I've said it for the last 8 days now, or 7 days. After 4 days of rallying, I was like, I'm on the wrong side of this trade. It's been another 5 days of rallying. Thank goodness that I switched my biases. So, and I can start trading from the long side, because if you keep thinking, oh, I'm going to short this pop, it's got to go back down. Again, it doesn't have to do anything. But the implications for this are obvious, like you gave it, Joel. Gold down, silver down, oil significantly down, defensive stocks trading down. I guess cat and deer are thrown in the mix now as, defensive stocks or whatever, because they're trading down on this too. It's a market of relationships right now, and you got to understand how they're related to the next Ukraine headline, because the next one might be, oh, the peace talks didn't go so well.
Fall
So
through.
you got to know what to buy and what to sell, and that's what's happening in this market continuously. Headlines still driving the market, but right now the silver lining is being found in everything.
It's like a bull. We're we in a full out bear market? I mean, it's just it's so hard to to keep track. Bull, bear, death cross, all these different things, and
The death cross was right at the bottom. That's the stupidest indicator ever. And you know what? If you follow the death cross, and on that Monday, I'm just going to have a rant here, because I don't even use any moving averages.
No, I think that was the low.
It was the very low. It was March 14th that we had the death cross. And they talked about it on CNBC nonstop. Everybody coming in. Everybody was bearish. It was the day JP Morgan downgraded China and said that it's uninvestable at the very bottom. This proves to you my theory that nobody knows anything. Idiots. And you're following a death cross. You're like, I got to get out. Death cross, golden cross, hot cross buns. Useless indicator. Useless. And I'm not even saying that's my opinion. It's a fact. That's a useless indicator. So don't worry about any crosses. Worry about, read your price. Price is what pays. I mean, that's what is telling you. So you can say, okay, well, the momentum's getting started now. How late are you to the party when you're selling on the death cross? It was going down for a year, a lot of stocks. And now you're selling them? So anyways, I'm not going to say I wasn't bearish down there. But again, it was hard to start going short down there, because we said we were oversold, and we were. And you know what? Now we're overbought, and we are. But that doesn't mean we have to go down today. It doesn't mean we have to go down tomorrow. And if they get peace talks going, we'll be at new all-time highs. And we've said that the whole time. That's the wild card for you bears out there. Peace talks equals new highs.
Well, they also mentioned, and I just caught it out of the corner of my eye, that they're actually scaling back. I haven't seen verification of that. I mean, that's what you're hearing, that if the troops are actually going the other way. I mean, that I'd like to see visual confirmation of that, but that's what's being reported. That's what's hitting the tape. That's what's moving the markets, right? So don't argue with the markets. The markets are right.
Well, that's it. You can have a thesis, and you can play out that thesis. But when we're on the wrong side, everybody says, how do I know I'm on the wrong side?
You're red.
You start losing money. That's how you know you're on the wrong side. So, I mean, and this has been the case for the shorts for a while. I mean, does it make fundamental sense that AMC is trading up 20% or 30% yesterday? No, but it doesn't matter, because that's what happened. Does it make fundamental sense? Like multiple people messaging me. How can GameStop be up 100% in 5 trading sessions? Because it's not connected to fundamentals. It can go anywhere the hell it wants. So it hasn't been connected to fundamentals for 2 years. It's probably worth $5, but nobody cares. And you know what? You're not going to short it, because if you're shorting the thing, you're getting killed on it. It looked like it was trying to reconnect with fundamentals, but it's not. So, I mean, you've got to use that as relationships. And you know what? It's been working. Right now, there are relationships. We've talked about these before. Relationships work. GameStop starts blasting off, takes AMC with it. Well, look who else joined the party yesterday. Bed Bath & Beyond started joining the party yesterday. And then you had all the other ones start joining the party too. The high short interest names, the other meme stocks.
And don't forget crypto. Don't forget crypto.
And crypto too. Yeah, it's all the nothingness trade. I mean, all these stocks, maybe Bed Bath & Beyond's got the stores, but I mean, stocks that are, not trading off of fundamentals. We'll say that. Stocks that are not trading off fundamentals are all moving together.
I'd prefer if we called it assets that are further out on the risk curve. Is that
not trading on fundamentals? Non-fundies.
Fine.
These are non-fundies.
Trying to
The
throw you-
nothingness trade.
Trying to,
But
trying
it
to
all
throw you
moves
in line,
together.
man. But all right, don't say
Spencer's trying to get in
I,
Webster.
I hated Bitcoin at 35,000. I hated it. The chart was not looking good. I rebought my Bitcoin at 38,000 because I realized it was on the wrong side of the trade. Thank goodness, because now we're up here at 47,000. So I don't even know what to say. I'm in a lot of this trashy crap too now, and it's down a little bit today. It's pulling back today because it's working. So am I going to stick around in all these stocks? I don't know. But they're not long-term investments, some of these things. But as short-term trades, there's a lot of these little trashy stocks that have consolidated for a few days and are starting to show some life. And there's a lot of, even the Kathy names. We talked about this yesterday on the show. ARKK had 5 days of consolidation in the same area. It's starting to look higher here now. It's starting to look like it wants to go again. So maybe there's still nosebleed valuations in those portfolio, but I mean, they're buying nothing and other stuff. So why can't ARKK start to break out again? So, I mean, it's looking kind of healthy. So this is a market where you've got now a level to lean on in ARKK. You don't have to lean on the low of the move. Bring up the ARKK chart, Joel, to my point.
Got it.
The last 5 days, 62. Look at the lows. 62.24, 62.61, 63.83, 63.36, 63.46, and then yesterday, 63.46, and then yesterday was 64.52. You got 62.63, huge support level. All of a sudden, we can put a trade on some of these things because we can lean on that level now. So, I mean, that's all you need. You need a level to lean on. We have it. And the bull thesis is still intact, and that's we think that the peace, that eventually there's going to be a ceasefire potentially, and we don't care about inflation, that the interest rates are going to tackle inflation. That's the bull thesis. It's a real thesis. Is it right? Nobody knows, but you have to right now be positioned that, hey, maybe it's not the end of the world.
Somebody would have to remind me, because it's been a minute here, but when is the last time we actually got a peace talk headline? It's been several weeks. It's probably been 2 or 3 weeks since we've had but this is like the third or fourth one that we've had, though. You're right. There was a brief moment there where there was a peace talk headline. It seemed like every couple of days, right? Remember they were having phases of peace talks. Is this the big one here? I guess we'll only be able to say that in hindsight. The market's, for the moment, acting like this is not something to be ignored. And we've said all along, these two, Russia and Ukraine make peace with each other, and we're probably back to all-time highs here. So is this the start of that? I don't know. Is this just another move to fade? That could also be it. So
it could be.
Yeah. That's why.
This is absolutely the market. I just want to pound this into people's heads. I'm making no money, zero money predicting the next move. I'm making it all based on short-term relationship-based trades. And you know what? Profitable. Last week I had my 3rd down day of the year. Not too bad. How many days have we had this year? How many trading days?
30 something.
30 something.
I don't know.
More than that.
I think it's 20, 40, probably 55.
Right, 20.
So despite being
60.
dead wrong, and everybody wants to pull out. Yes, I was bearish at the bottom. Yes, I went to cash. And yes, maybe my long-term portfolio isn't performing as well. My trading account's doing pretty good, guys. You have to go with what the flow is. I know everybody loves it when I lose money, and that's cool. You can love it all you want. But I'm telling you, you have to be able to change your opinion when you're wrong. And you know what? In this market, it's good to not even have an opinion. Take your opinion, throw it in the garbage, and trade what you see. Trade the relationships. GME starts breaking out. We talked about this on the show. Spencer, did we not talk about this on the show a week ago when GME had the big candle? Did we not? From 100 to 125, and I said, I'm buying these trashy stocks.
You said, I know, I was surprised.
I'm buying these trashy stocks. Look at my portfolio. My trading portfolio, I want to throw up. Because it's all junk in there.
Okay,
but you know what? It's paying.
What is the relationship between these, to use your words, trashy stocks and world peace?
I don't know if there is one. That's a good question. And this is one we can throw to the chat too. Is world peace good for the meme stocks? I don't know. I don't know if I know the answer to that question.
I don't know.
First, GameStop and AMC are trading down on this headline, so maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if I know the answer to that question. But I know when GME is trading down, AMC is trading down. I know Bed Bath & Beyond is going to trade down. And I start thinking, well, some of these other memester stocks, that high short interest list that you gave, Spencer, which is a great list. You start thinking about maybe that one's the list to take some profits in. But maybe this is just a healthy little pullback for GME, and it's going to be 250 later today. We don't know that either. This stock has just been an absolute monster. Let's just call it. It's up 100% in 5 days. I mean, everybody had it for dead, including myself. I said it came back to life on that big candle. As soon as it went from 95 to 125, it's got to be going off. Warning, Will Robinson, if you're short any of these high retail, driven names, because that was a short squeeze starting, and this short squeeze has been punishing shorts for 5-6 days. You can trade on fundamentals sometimes. Right now, you can't.
So I guess the only question here is, do we believe when Russia says they're pulling back military operations away from Kyiv, do we believe that's going to happen? Do we believe that they're operating in good faith? Because if we do, then theoretically we're on the path to actual peace, and then we can resume our march to everything. Everyone can move on, and we can go higher.
We don't know the answer to that question.
That's putting things a little. I mean,
Well,
there's still other things going on that are,
sure.
interest rates are going up, inflation's going up, the housing market looks a little teetering. I mean, there's still other things going on, but this market's become so short-sighted, right? Well, something will roll around. Like they'll be talking about going to half, or a half, 2 meetings in a row. There always will be something out there. This was just something that, and it's far from over, but it was just a big unknown, and it's something the market hasn't dealt with in a long time. But you look at the price action before this, and it's easy to be amazed afterwards, but seeing what was happening while it was going on, you were thinking the market is not worried about this war. I mean, that was what it was telling me. Now, is it over? Is things still a lot of things to go, but right now, the price action, Dennis, you mentioned like new all-time highs a few times ago, and I'm thinking like, okay, that's really optimistic, but this market just gets so much momentum, and it used to be the downward momentum was more fierce than the upward momentum, but now, I mean, machines, they'll sell this market off and buy it back up
Both
just as
directions,
quickly.
Joel,
Yeah,
to your point.
yeah,
it's vicious in both directions. Don't kid yourself. Like, there are some people who have absolutely been punished in this last move. So you think, okay, I'm in cash and this is a punishing move. There are people that are short this market. There are people that are short some of these stocks, and they're like, so they're actually not. It's not the fact that they're not making money when it's going up. They're actually losing money when it's going up. Yeah. It's a very tough market right now. We literally punished all of the longs for the first 2.5 months of the year. And then it was too easy on the shorts. So now that we're ripping their face off too. So it's a menacing market, man. And everybody's holding the death cross at the bottom, thanks to CNBC pumping it for all day that day.
What's up, Mitch?
The only thing I would say is the most was leaning bearish at the bottom, right?
For sure.
Now the most is leaning bullish.
I don't know if they are yet.
I don't know.
I don't think the Bears have thrown in the towel.
Ask the chat. I'll put a poll up.
All right, no. All right.
Ask the chat, but I feel like
a poll right now. I'll put a poll.
I don't feel like it's that. I don't know. I feel like the Bears are still trying out there. I don't feel like they've given up. I gave up 4 days ago, thank God. But I mean, the Bears, the Bulls here are rocking and rolling right now. I don't know when the party ends, but Tesla continued the party yesterday. It's continuing the party this morning. I mean, there's no move better than Tesla here. And yes, at $750, I didn't like the stock at all. I'll tell you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading days later, wow, what a reversal. So, do you think Tesla's going back to 800 anytime soon? Probably not. Now you've caught a whole bunch of shorts in this thing again. I mean, we're within striking distance of an all-time high on Tesla, Joel. After 8 days, we were down like 40%. It's got it all back in 8 days. I've never seen resilience like this. It's impressive.
Yeah,
I put no idea for my vote. Bullish or bearish?
Wait,
I had no idea.
I should also note that
Trading opinion for now.
should also note it's not just Tesla. A lot of EVs are bid up this morning. But with regards to going back to the trading, the implications of peace, right? And you've already seen it happen this morning, right? What stocks moved on that headline? You had the defense stocks were at Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, all trade down. What about the fertilizer stocks? Mosaic, which has been one of your biggest runners here, down big in the down $4 this morning.
Yeah,
right on that. And there's a handful of other ones as well. You have any agricultural stock? I think you mentioned John Deere and Caterpillar. Any company where the implication was we need to invest in to have a less reliance on exports. Well, if exports aren't going to be a problem anymore, if global exports are not going to be a problem, then we don't need to worry about it. So John Deere, Caterpillar, your fertilizer stocks, Mosaic, your defense stocks, all any company, any stock. Thank you, ADM. From Hunter in the chat. Any stock that just had a huge run here, you would expect to see some weakness today.
Yeah, I think so. And the one thing to remember is look today, take down and write down the stocks that are weak on this if you don't know them. We can just go over them, but you're giving out a lot of good, relationships here. Just as much as we had the COVID stocks, remember last year,
exactly.
We had the whole list of these are the stocks that are benefiting from COVID, the lockdown and the non-lockdown. Now we have the Ukraine and the non-Ukraine, like in majority of stocks want the peace talks, but there is, the oils and stuff are going to benefit if there's no peace talks. So to throw all those stocks in that bucket because we're not about lockdown and non-lockdown stocks anymore. We're about war and peace stocks. So what stocks do better in war times? What stocks do better in peace times?
But I will say we were kind of looking at a reopening trade, a strong reopening trade before the war broke out, right? And it kind of, that put us, like someone asked yesterday, like, why is Carnival Cruise Lines up so much yesterday or the day before? Well, oil was coming in, right? So I think this gives a little bit of a, the reopening trade that had stalled a little bit. I think you got to look at this. SPOO's over 4,600 now. I'll say it now. Next daily high, January 18th, 46.63 and a quarter. I will do my old walk on hands down to the office on the lodge if we get to 46.63 and a quarter.
All right.
Last time I said that, the market did it, and people are like, be careful.
I know.
But good point, Joel. I mean, here we are, and now we can go back to another bucket. I mean, this is why we did a course on relationships, like this is why, relationship-based trading works. It's the one thing in my 22-year career that has been very, very consistent is understanding relationships and how they evolve and then understanding the new relationships before other traders catch on to them. And I mean, you're going right back and you're going back into the reopening bucket and you're like, boom, hey, that's a great thought process. All of a sudden, talking peace, reopening stocks work as much as they didn't work yesterday when we were talking war. Now we're talking peace, reopening stocks work better in that environment. So you do go to that bucket. Now, the question is the next headline coming out of there going to say, the peace talks didn't go so well. And then you're going to see all this trade reverse. That could happen. You've got to be ready on that for that to happen, though. And don't kid yourself. People say you can't trade headlines. I tell you, the most consistent trader, I'm going to say it again, trade the headlines. And they realize these relationships and the implications for what that headline means. The algos might hit it off the bat, but the algos don't even always get it right. But it's not instantaneous. They don't hit every stock in the whole market instantaneous like everyone would like you to believe. It's a slower process. Sometimes it takes even hours to figure itself out. So don't be afraid of headlines. Headlines are your friend.
I shouldn't have said that about the 46.63 and a quarter. Because we just tacked on like another 10 handles there. Did we get more good?
And look how slow this move has been. Yeah. This move has been slow this morning because you know what? People are just waking up. Oh, they're talking peace. They're not even at their desk yet. It's 8:25. The big money is still driving in and commuting in.
And it's the same headline. It's the same. Literally,
Yeah.
it's a continuation. Oh yes, peace talks will continue. Oh, now we're saying that they're going to continue for the next 2 hours. Oh, now we're saying they're going to continue for the next 2 hours with some tea and coffee.
Yeah.
Right? It's just the same.
Tea and
headline.
coffee, really?
It's just the same headline. It's just adding a little bit of detail every single time.
Oh man,
Right,
oh
But it's
man,
slow
oh
to
man. I share.
because especially in the pre-market when you get these things, because the money managers big money isn't even at their desk yet. They're managing other people's money. They're enjoying their family. They're eating breakfast with their family right now, and they're going to commute in here in a half an hour. Well, you can already position yourself for what the big money is going to do. So am I fading this move right now? Not until I see another headline that comes out and says, no, this is BS. I mean, then I'll change. But right now, you're seeing follow through. We've rallied another 15 handles since we started the show. You're seeing follow through here because you know what? This is good news for stocks. Headlines matter, folks. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's the driver. It's what's driving the bus. It's not the pretty cup and handle chart. It's the headlines.
Wait,
Yeah, who knows the next headline? I mean, Russia storms out of the meeting, and Putin says no, and things like who knows what.
And we're not in the business of predicting the next headline. We're in the business of trading the current headline. And right now, with the current information that this market has, unless you're Putin, who knows the next headline to come, which is a huge edge, this is a bullish for stocks. So I'm looking here and saying this actually makes some sense right now. Next headline may change everything. But right now, with the current information, this move makes sense.
827 here. We hadn't even talked really any specific stocks today, but that's kind of the point, right? Is whenever you get a headline that kind of turns the market like this, it kind of throws any individual mover, individual headline out the window. I just want to give a quick PSA that we are testing a new automated chat bot just for moderation purposes. It may be a little glitchy. It may accidentally ban a few people for using emojis. I'm sorry. We're working on it, but if you do get banned, I will unban you.
Lucky I don't use emojis.
For using emojis. Okay, just wanted to throw it out there because I've had a couple of people reach out to me on Twitter already. I'm like, what are you doing? Sorry, it's not. We're working on it.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you. It's our bot that we're testing. What did I want to talk? Okay, I wanted to actually move on to at least one or two individual names. Then we can bring on our guest here. Nielsen, Dennis, we talked about this several times. Where there's smoke, there's often fire. I guess third time is a charm here this morning. Nielsen is getting acquired. That is confirmed. The stock was halted. Did it come out of the halt?
Yeah, it's out of the halt.
Okay, it's out of the halt now.
Oh, actually, yeah, it's out of the halt.
Yeah, it's out of the halt now. Okay, so deal is happening. I think 26 was 28 was the price, I believe.
It's confirmed. Deal's going down.
It's confirmed.
Yeah.
So 28. Then why do we go to 29?
Let me confirm the number here.
Get the price for us, Joel.
No, I'm just curious.
28 is the price.
Oh man, this was one we talked multiple times in the show. I talk about it in the show and then I forget about it. It's not a stock I think about every day, Nielsen. But multiple times in the show, I'm like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the best was that first day, which was the 21st, when there was like, talks. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get a deal done with them, and the stock went down to under $20 in the pre-market. You won't see that on the bar, but it was trading like 19, and then I was like, if it came all the way back down to 18, so I was too cheap. And obviously closed up that day. It's been holding on. Now you actually do get a deal. So when you get rumors of a deal, it pops, and then the rumors kind of fizzle out, and you get back down to that point where it was before. That's the striking point. So that's the strategy. And because now you have that possibility the deal could still happen. And in this case, you would have got paid handsomely. So congratulations to the longs. Wish I was with you. I wanted to be with you. I was too cheap on that first day. Should have paid up.
Same thing with Kohl's. You got that initial pop up to 64, then they brought the haircut all the way in, filled the gap, 52. Then you got that news again, and you had some non-believers up again, but now you're forming a base at 60. So sure taking a while. They're sure taking their time to decide on that deal. But
I hope it comes back to 55 again. I'll tell you, I think the Kohl's gets bought too. I think it does eventually go through. That's just my thought. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm thinking eventually this deal could go through too. So where there's smoke, there's fire. It's popped up a couple of times. I mean, It's been a retail. The valuation's cheap. We've talked about this one. It was a gift at 52 or 53 or even 55, even if it didn't have a deal. Now you're 61. I don't know if I want to pay up. Maybe the deal goes down to 65.
Risk
Risk
reward
reward isn't as
different.
good as 61.
Yeah.
At 55, it's nice.
Yeah, the difference is Coles hasn't come down. Nielsen did. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's all risk reward.
Yeah.
So you got to analyze where you came from and where you're going to if a deal doesn't go through. So when it comes all the way back down, it's like, oh, deal doesn't go through. It's kind of already all priced in. Coles, when it leaked the whole thing back, I mean, because of the overall market effects, that was, a market, throwing the baby out with the bathwater to a certain extent. And boom, then you get the headline and it pops back up there. So down at 55, I like it. I don't want to pay up here because if the deal doesn't go through, this thing will be back at 50.
Everyone in the chat now is trying to antagonize our chat bot. So whatever. You get what you get.
That chat bot.
You get what you get. Let's just do
Bots. Like, we don't have enough bots in here. Now we got to create
more
our own
bots.
bot.
All right. Let's just talk quickly, and then I'm going to bring on Stephanie Link. I just want to mention FedEx here. Founder, CEO, figurehead, everything. Fred Smith, the guy who founded and created FedEx, stepping down and retiring as CEO. That was announced yesterday, I believe. And right? Yeah, yesterday. So FedEx actually popped on that headline, which is
it did. Yeah, it was choppy ahead of the headline, and then the headline broke, and then boom, now we're up $7. Again, this was a buying opportunity on that dip. We talked about it that day.
We did.
I wish
We
I
did
would have
on
bought it. Got
earnings
down
day.
to 212, and it's like, okay, well, here's a dip after the day where the bottom was apparently in. So you got to be using those opportunities on some of those earnings dips to rebuild your portfolio. I didn't rebuy FedEx. I should have, and I'd already be up $20 on it. So I don't know. At this point in time, now it's back at 240 resistance. I mean, now it's like, okay, I missed it.
I think what they're liking about it is, there's been some talk about selling off some divisions or splitting up the company a little bit, and maybe he was not in favor of that. And now with the new, I mean, that's just something that I heard or I read this morning on it. Nice pop, 670. Dennis mentioned that 240 level. That is a level. We haven't reached it yet in the pre-market. Pre-market high got close to there, so we'll keep it. First, we'll keep an eye on the pre-market high at 39.12, and then you just have that one pesky high there at 240. And wow, you're probably not even close to getting back half of this move, right? Because you were close to 320, and boom, that retracement tool is not working great there. But on the monthlies, I'll do it in my head. We went from 320
Comes that air math.
right down. Yeah. Oh, this is an easy one because it went to 200, right? So 220 point move, right? You take half of that, 110, 310. That's not right. What am I doing? Their math.
Joel, go back to grade 2.
Air math is
120, 60. So 250 would be 50%.
all right.
300 would be back at all-time high. Spoo's getting a little choppy up here, getting a little nervous. Got to
You're like, whoa, wait a
11
minute, the
and a
headline isn't
quarter.
real.
Headline. Enough with the headline. Let's bring on our guest today.
Look at crude. Crude is headed towards that low of the move. Look at that, down $7.
Crude is rude.
$98 now. Stephanie Link, you've seen her on CNBC. She's a contributor there. She's also the CIO and portfolio manager at Hightower Advisors. Let's bring her on the show right now. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. What do you make of this action this morning? It was relatively quiet till about an hour ago.
Yeah, we have been dealing with the headlines every day, right? In terms of the war with Russia and Ukraine. Some days it's good news, some days it's bad news. I don't know if I trust it, quite honestly. But we also have, even if we get some sort of resolution on the war front, we also have inflation here across the spectrum of the economy. And we have a Fed that's behind the curve. And so I think all of these reasons are the reasons why we have seen the market overall, the multiple contract. We started the year at 21.4 times earnings. We're now at about 18.5 times. The historic average, depending on rates, is about 16 times. So I think we're going to be in this choppy environment for the medium term. So the news is great today if it's true, but we still have other things that we have to deal with. And oh, by the way, we had a pretty hawkish Fed last week that really went unnoticed.
When you say depending on rates, can you elaborate more on what higher rates would mean for that historical average?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when lower interest rates is very favorable for risk on assets, and if we do see higher interest rates, we could see multiples contract even more. I don't know if we're going to see the multiple get to 15, 16, but it's possible. And actually, I don't want to sound like I'm such a bear because I'm really not. I'm actually just more balanced this year.
Yeah.
I entered this year being more heavily weighted on the cyclicals, the reopen plays, some more valued ideas. And into the decline of growth, I've actually been balancing out my portfolio and adding to more technology names. Now, you ask about interest rates. If interest rates go higher, long duration assets are really going to be out of favor. But I just think technology, total addressable markets, that's a place where I see opportunity. And I had been underweight technology for quite some time. In the past year, I've been about 10 percentage points below my benchmark in tech and comm equipment, if you add the two together.
How do you approach a market like this that's so headline driven? I mean, it seems like we can't believe, we don't know what to believe. First of all, we hear peace talks and, oh, it's not going so well. And then the next headline comes out and there's escalation and then there's de-escalation. And the market whipsaws and gets chopped around. How do you approach a market that's so headline driven?
It's hard. I mean, this is a harder year than we have seen in quite some time. I mean, I look back in the last 2 years and there were so many great opportunities, and you had the Fed as a tailwind with all of the monetary policies. And of course, we had the fiscal policies as well. Now, all of a sudden, you turn to this year and you have more headwinds, right? You have a Fed that, by the way, they're still buying bonds until the end of the month. They're buying as much bonds this month as they did in April of 2020. So there's still plenty of liquidity in the system. And yet now they're on this tightening cycle. So now you have the Fed going from tailwind to headwind. You do have inflation and the unknowns there. And you, of course, you have this war issue. So what I try to do is I try just to focus on fundamentals, and I am longer term. And I heard you guys talking about FedEx before I got on the show. That's a perfect example. As you guys were saying, when it did get to, when it did drop near 200, that was a buying opportunity. The problem is if you go back and look at a 5-year chart of this stock, I mean, this is at the same levels that this stock was at back in 2018. And so I applaud that they're getting a new CEO, but this stock really has underperformed. So I don't want to get caught into, it's cheap and there's an opportunity. It's cheap for a reason because they have misexecuted for so long. There are opportunities though, like why not own a UPS if you believe in this theme, like I do. A UPS is trading at 17 times earnings. It's much more expensive than a FedEx, but they have executed. Carol Tomé is a rock star CEO. And so I look for opportunities in this challenging environment, but you got to stay a little bit longer term. You can either day trade this market, which is not my thing, or you can look for opportunities. One other name that I've been recently buying on the dip was Fortinet. I think cybersecurity is a great total addressable market story. This company has done a great job in terms of executing and really building out their products. And we know this theme is here to stay. And that stock fell as much as 16% year to date a couple of weeks ago. And so I decided to add to that. So I'm looking for opportunities along the way, trying to avoid some of the value traps, like I said, on the FedEx side. But there are plenty of other ideas out there.
Stephanie, you deal with probably, higher net worth individuals, investors and whatnot. CNBC, caters to, a broad crowd here. We have, very active traders, also some people that are, just managing their portfolios as well. But in this, like, what advice do you give the young people about investing in the market and just general tips? I mean, and by young, younger demographic, let's say 30 and younger, because we've really extraordinary markets over the last couple years. What long-term advice do you give to young investors?
Well, it's funny. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she is in a freshman, and I have a finance class, an investment class. And so I've been working with her on how to pick stocks, right? And first and foremost, the number one thing I would say is you have to be diversified. I would recommend being longer term as an investor, but I completely understand if it's more fun to day trade. As an investor, though, you look for, in my opinion, big blue chip companies, number one or number two in their industries. And a very good CEO and a bench, right? Not just the CEO. I place a lot of credibility in management teams, and I have about 40 stocks in my portfolio. I've met every single CEO. I wouldn't invest in a company if I didn't do a lot of homework, and I would suggest everyone it's very much available for investors to go on their websites, to listen to conference calls, and Zoom into conferences in general. They're very much available. And I think to get to know a management team is very, very important. Then I look at balance sheets, free cash flow, and then I look for catalysts as well, in terms of, is there something happening at the company that can get better? And that's not appreciated in the marketplace at the current price or valuation. And then speaking of valuation, that's very important. I look at a variety of ways to value a stock. Is it PE? Is it EV to EBITDA? Is it price to sales? Every industry trades differently, and you have to learn each industry and how they do trade. But I also look at historical valuations and then also forward valuations, just to kind of get a sense of, am I getting a bargain, or is this stock just cheap for a reason? Has it always been cheap? That kind of thing. But I think if you can get the number one or number two players in the industry on sale, if you will, so it pulls back into a headline on, Russia or Ukraine. If you look for an opportunity, I think that has served me well over the years.
Stephanie, do you play any of the high growth stuff then? Because if you're always looking at valuation, I mean, obviously there's, when 2020 was a market, the valuation kind of was thrown out the window almost, and they were just buying growth at any cost, kind of the Cathie Wood style. Is there a point where you just look and say, okay, this is cheap relative to itself, and that's how you get into it? Or how do you, if you're a pure value person, how do you get into those super high growth names?
Yeah, so I try to avoid non-earners, because while the momentum is really exciting and really fun on the way up, on the way down, there's absolutely zero support. And we saw that with the Cathie Wood stocks, right? So it's, to me, that's like playing a game, right? That's not investing, unless you have Cathie Wood's time horizon, which is 5 years. Most people say they're long-term and they buy low and sell high. Most people are not long-term and they buy high and they sell low. It's very, very difficult to buy low and sell high. That I know, and I'm humbled by it myself. But that does not mean that I wouldn't find a company that is growing fast. Fortinet is a perfect example. It's very expensive at 60 times earnings, but the price to sales has come down from 20 times to 12 times. And that historically has been kind of the buy point, if you will. So I will look in a high growth industry, and I will look, especially in technology and also in healthcare. But I like to look at where that stock is trading relative to, yes, itself. What is its historical range? What do I think can it grow into? An earnings multiple, PE multiple. So there's a lot of different ways to evaluate the higher growth names, but I do try to focus on the companies that have earnings and have sustainable growth.
We got to ask you one quick question. I mean, obviously you got the fundamentals down here, just covering a lot of the basic tenets. What about how technical are you? Do you have any technical analysis tricks for us, or are you like one of those people that at the bottom of the sea at every ship there's a chart room? Are you one of those kind of people, or you got some technical tips for us?
I am not a technician, but I do have a lot of friends in the business over the years that are, and I will often consult with them. So if I'm looking at a stock and I did all the homework and I did the fundamental analysis and I'm looking to buy it, I'll take a look at the pictures. Sure, anybody can look at them, but then I will consult with my colleagues and see what they have to say. And most of the times, if you can combine technical analysis, fundamental analysis, even quantitative analysis, you can combine those three and they all agree with a buy point or buy signal. That's really pretty powerful. So I respect technicians very, very much, but I am not the expert.
Stephanie Link, CIO, Chief Investment Strategist, and Portfolio Manager at Hightower Advisors, CNBC contributor. Pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us today, Stephanie.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Have a good day.
All right. I liked how the initial reaction in the chat was, oh, that's actually her. Who else was it going to be? I said that she was going to come on. You think I was lying to you? I wasn't lying to you. Anyway, appreciate that. We are trying
Let's
to get
CNBC let her come on this time.
yeah.
Dennis.
we
Dennis,
had her.
be
Oh, we're not
nice.
supposed to say that. We
Be
had her
nice.
once, and then CNBC blocked it on
Be nice,
us.
Dennis. Be nice.
I'm not supposed to say what happens behind the scenes.
It was a long time coming, so I've been trying to get her
That
on
was fun.
for quite a while.
She's great. She's great. We'd like to have her more.
Didn't get the chance to ask her about Micron. She's bullish that stock, and they report earnings tonight, I believe. Tonight. So would have liked to ask her about that, but she had a hop. That's okay. On the earnings front, though, just to mention that quickly, I mentioned Micron. We have Chewy tonight. We have Lululemon tonight. Restoration Hardware is tonight.
Yeah.
PVH is tonight, and Sundial. Those are your big ones.
Look at this.
yeah.
I want to just go through the list of that for you, and I want to show you. This is where I've sold most of these stocks already here now. RH up 3% ahead of the report. PVH hasn't traded, but it's a bit up right now, $1.50 ahead of the report, which put it up over 2%. Chewy up 2.4% ahead of the report. Lululemon up 1.5% ahead of the report. Micron up 2.6% ahead of the report. Notice a theme? Owning stocks ahead of the reports. I guess it's an up day, yes, but
Yeah, I was just
up,
going to.
these are up a lot more than the market, though. Joel.
Exactly.
A lot more. So the alpha extracted from being long these stocks ahead of the reports working here once again. I had them all long overnight, or at least and I've sold them all now. So
right, your big market tailwind, though. I mean that's definitely
that helps it for sure. But again,
yeah, for sure. No, you
you're up
mentioned that before.
0.77% on SPY, up 2.6% on Micron. I mean, find me a tech stock that's up 2.6% today. Qs are only up 1.0. There's a reason it's up 2.6 more, and that reason is probably that it's going to report. I mean, Applied Materials only up 1.6. You can go to AMD; it's only up 1.8. Why is Micron up so much more? It reports tonight. So, and knowing and understanding those relationships, how they're even related to their own earnings reports, and the alpha to extract from there, there's a strategy there. I'm giving you strategies.
Chewy doesn't move with GameStop, I've noticed, which is kind of weird.
You'd think it would.
You'd think it would. It
You'd
doesn't.
think it'd be like a meme stock. Chewy chew on this Reddit stock. I guess it's not, though.
Doesn't really.
By the way, GameStop's giving back a little bit this morning. I mean, come on, though. $8 give back. It just moved 100 points.
By the way,
I don't even know. This isn't even putting. There's no death cross happening here anytime.
Wait, I just want to add, AMC went green for the year yesterday. Did you notice that?
Incredible.
AMC went green for the year.
They just jump on this bandwagon, man. And okay, and this is a good segue here because I had a question from our good friend Jeremy News. Somebody was asking for his group and asking, what is the psychology? Why do people dash for trash? Why do they want to jump in, on these stocks that, maybe don't make money, maybe trash is a bad word for them. I just use it because it rhymes. But why is this meme stock, all of a sudden, AMC, GME, why are they disconnected from fundamentals? Why did they just all of a sudden blast off together? And the number one answer is really FOMO. I mean, and it's behavioral finance to a certain extent where, the psychology behind it is, everybody's talking about it. And these are talked about stocks. And if everybody's talking about something, it starts to, it's and then it's when it's going down, people are still talking about it, but the FOMO isn't kicked in because people are talking about it, everybody's making fun of them. All of a sudden they start going up and now people are jealous and they're missing and they're like, what's happening here? And then they all of a sudden get some FOMO and then they get involved too. So you have a little bit of that, herd mentality where everybody, it starts going, I got to jump in there too because I don't want to miss. So all these stocks are grouped together because they're talked about so much in social media, whether it be in Reddit, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on whatever the hell else, Discord. There's so many different social media platforms now. But, GME and AMC are two of the leaders. We know that, if not the leaders of this whole group. And then we know there's another tier of Bed Bath & Beyond. And you can get into that list that you gave, the high short interest, because, okay, now these are squeezing. We're going to squeeze other names. So then they go jump on that highshortinterest.com stocks bandwagon there, and they start buying those names too. But, it's basically FOMO to a certain extent, the fear of missing out. But why don't they eventually reconnect with fundamentals? I think they try. I think we're in a different environment here now, though, where there's so much social media driven stocks. And it's difficult when the story is still out there and the story gets hot again and then it cools off, the stock comes on, but the story never seems to just go away. Like if we go back to 10 years ago before social media was driving stocks, a stock would get hot on CNBC, and that was the major driver of news. And then it wouldn't get mentioned again. So the story just kind of goes away and the stock drifts off into nothingness. But I mean, the story doesn't go away. It still just gets recirculated on these social media platforms, and it cools off, but it never seems to go away. And that's why all of a sudden these things get hot again, and you get it again, and now they're off to the races again. And people getting squeezed, don't kid yourself. There's short squeeze involved in here too, where there are fundamental traders saying this is absolutely stupid that AMC is trading at $28. It should be at $5, and I'm going to short this stock. And right now, you got to know when a story gets hot, we always say fundamentals don't matter. So you've got to be very careful. When the story gets hot, the buzz is hot, you don't want to be short those names, even though the fundamental story might not match where the price is trading.
I think also just the algorithmic trading, the algos and
For
the
sure.
volume, and I
Great
think
point.
that is something that it just feeds into it, right?
Yes.
One system trigger, a volume system gets triggered, or a pattern chart formation triggers, boom, institutions. So you get the momentum, and that piles in. But you always, you need a catalyst, and that's what you're addressing. But I think to see these kind of moves, like who would have, a human would have bought car up to 500, or it's where did it get to? Yeah,
Yeah,
550.
that's FOMO. That's all of that. And and there is some human involvement, but you are so right, Joel, when you say the algorithmic involvement too, because you've got the programs, you've got a lot of algorithmic trading. They understand what's moving. They get on. You could call it momentum ignition. You can call it all kinds of fun things, but really they're just Momo. There's a lot of algorithmic traders that are just momentum driven, and they start seeing it going, and they're lifting offers, and they're
They don't
not
care.
looking back at bids. They're just taking the offer and taking the offer and taking the offer, and they're like, this thing's going, and more people are going to go. And sometimes the algo gets burned, but a lot of times it's right, and it gets it going. Then everybody else sees the price going higher, then they get involved, and then other algos get involved, and it's kind of just like, and then it becomes like a hot potato just going up. You don't know who's going to get burned at the end, but that's how this happens. So algorithms have a huge involvement in this crazy momentum we see in these names.
I swear I had something else to add to that, and I don't remember what it was. So it was like 5 minutes ago. That's okay though. We got.
Good thing you don't get paid by the word, Spencer.
Yeah, right. It's all right. Drop your tickers for us in the chat. We can spend the next few minutes doing some ticker time here. Marcus just asked if we can look at Tilray. I know there was a few tickers from earlier. I did not write them down, so if you dropped a ticker in from earlier, please do it again for us now. Tilray, the vote, for those wondering about that, got postponed to tomorrow. It was supposed to be yesterday. Got postponed over the weekend to tomorrow.
So now it's going to drive. Wants to drive up. It sold off yesterday because it got postponed, but now they're buying them back here because the vote's coming tomorrow.
There is a 500-page report, if you want to read it, that outlines the arguments for both sides that was put together by houses members of the House. If you want to read it, I can drop you the link to that. But yeah, it's long.
Inside day yesterday. So I mean, you guys, you've heard me talk about the fundamentals on this, so I'm not going to bore you again. But inside day, I'd like to see it. If I'm long, I'd like to see it hold the close and not take out the low from yesterday. On the upside, sellers came down yesterday. Non-believers came down. It made a lower high. So 839, you want to get over that and challenge the high of the move.
All right, looking to see if we have any repeat offenders here, or any tickers that are in there more than once.
Ask the bot.
The bot's not that smart yet. We got to make it smarter. That's the thing. The bot right now is pretty stupid, which is maybe part of it.
It's going to ban you for calling it stupid.
You can't say the S
word. Maybe.
My 4-year-old says that person said the S word. Stupid.
All right.
She always does that. So cute. The S word. She said the S word.
Okay. Let's look at Snowflake here.
I've looked at Snowflake for a little while. It's the same chart as ARK, which isn't surprising. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of consolidation, and now you're trying to break out. I think there's room to 250. There's a gap in there too, so there's definitely room to 250, Joel. You can see the nice little gap to 250, 58. I think it fills the gap. So obviously next headline would change my opinion if it comes out, in 20 minutes and they're like, no, peace talks, more war escalation. Well, then that thesis changes. But as of right now, with the current information we have and the current momentum that this stock has, I think there's the potential to fill that gap sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean it had the nice move up, and then you had the consolidation, right? And now you're breaking out of the consolidation. So the first number Dennis gave you, that low at 50.58, would be, that's only $11 away. That would be the next target. And then the day, I always like to look at the close the day that it had the big move, and that's higher up. That closes at 64.69. So there's a couple targets for you, but first things first, you got some room up to that gap.
I neglected to mention just now while we were talking about Tilray that the founder of Tilray, Erwin Simon, will be at the Benzinga Cannabis Capital Conference next month. I just dropped the link to that into the chat with the discount code that you should use. So check it out there. Link is in chat. So is the discount code.
Well, there you go.
Shows 30, Miami Beach next month. Erwin Simon
Miami
will be
Beach.
there. Canopy Growth will be there. Mike Tyson will be there.
Oh my gosh, that's the right there. I want to. What's the ears he's selling? The chocolate ears? Is it chocolate ears?
Oh, they're cannabis. That's
Oh yeah, cannabis ears. That's right.
Yeah.
Cannabis ears.
That's the point.
It's fun.
We may be doing a raffle or one of those 50-50s to see who wants to get slapped by Mike Tyson. You'll have to attend. Though.
I'm not signing up for that raffle.
All right, let's do a couple more tickers here, and then we'll go over to live trading. Here's a new one. Not new, but like KMX, CarMax. How's that doing? I'm looking at that.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Well,
off.
let's think about this. Why is CarMax just?
Well,
What's the logic
theoretically,
behind this thing not participating at all?
if no one can afford to buy cars,
There you go.
then why do they need a CarMax report? Right?
Yeah. This is right there. I mean, oil prices escalating, and all of a sudden people are maybe. Well, you think you'd buy more used cars, though? I don't know. Like you wouldn't buy a new car.
I don't
if you had less
know.
money. But I guess maybe you're just driving less, or maybe you're just going buying EVs, so you're not buying used cars.
What's the difference? What's the difference? A car is a car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is actually a stock that I've wanted in my portfolio before, and it's never come cheap enough for me. Maybe it's one I've got to, kind of look at. It could support down 90, but the relative strength in this thing is terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're buying a stock that is sitting on the lows still, and it didn't participate in this rally, so it's going down for 3 months and going down, and then when the market turns, it doesn't start going up. That's the wrong stock. So relative strength's terrible. I have no idea if there's a catch-up trade here or not, but I mean, your thesis, maybe people aren't buying as many cars right now.
I don't know what to say. I mean, you lean on the low of the move, right? You thought maybe you had the low of the move. You thought you had a double bottom, 95.89. You also had this low here at 96.39. New low yesterday at 95.04. So lean on that. First things first. Is it bid up in the pre-market, Dennis? Is there any?
No.
Is there no?
No, there's no. It's,
I
no.
see.
There's
It's not
nothing.
even bid up on a day like this.
I mean, a couple. Just look at your daily highs for targets: 99.87, 100.58. That's really the only thing I can give you. I guess maybe if it gets back in triple digits and hold, you might get some people that excited. But it's interesting that just hasn't participated in this rally.
These are
at
not the
all.
stocks you're looking for.
Yeah.
Asana, I want to grab. I'm grabbing it, Spencer, because I saw it.
Asana.
Do we have any insider buys of late? Let's check Benzinga Pro and find out.
But you know what? It fits the bill. So what? I forget. Why 2 days ago? Why did we get hit? What was the reason again?
Offering?
Refresh my memory.
Yeah, there was a shelf offer.
Mixed shelf.
You know what? I could get talked into Asana here because it's one that will, if the market starts to go to all-time highs, they'll start buying this thing again. It got knocked down a couple days for the shelf, and you've got a shelf of a floor here around $37. I could get talked into ASAN. So no position, but you got a little double bottom kind of from the last 2 days, 50 cents apart, but I'll call it a double bottom because we're in a wicked market. I think you lean on the low of the move, 36.40. Not the overall low of the move, 31, because that's too far. But if you're buying it here for a long, say you pick it up at 40, stop yourself under 36.50 and give yourself a target. Maybe this thing could start getting going again. So I don't mind the Asana from a risk reward perspective here.
I mean, someone's just, well, I mean, I guess you could say it's bid up here too. But first things first, let's get through 40, right? That's the pre-market high. And I'm just going to give you a shorter term target for today. And that would be 43.18. That was your high from Friday. So if it could get through 40, someone's more than willing to sell it here at 40. So
All right.
if you catch the momentum there, make sure it gets through 40.
You want a fun stat? Dustin Moskovitz last bought shares of his own company February 28th. This is officially the longest he has gone without buying stock since last summer.
This guy is like,
this is the longest gap since last summer.
This person just buys his stock. He puts his money where his mouth is. You got to respect that. He's been dead wrong because the stock has continued to come down. But man, that's a CEO that puts his money where his mouth is. Yeah. Got to respect that. Sana, I don't mind it here as a risk reward. Stopping myself out, always setting up where the stop out is 36.48.
All right. Before we hop, I want to plug our other big event, the FinTwit Conference in Vegas, May 13th and 14th. I just put that link in the chat with a discount code for that conference as well. I fully intend to be there. Check that out. Guys, that'll be a wrap for us here. Live trading with Benzinga starting now. Joel going over to Pre-Market Prep Plus. Dennis going
to cover all those symbols that we missed, folks.
Yeah, Marco, the FinTwit Conference. I just put the link in the chat in here. I'll even pin it for you. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. There, it's pinned to the top of the chat. Use that link and that discount code BZYouTube20. Mike Tyson will not be at the FinTwit Conference, but other good traders will be there. Anne-Marie Band, I believe, will be there. Maybe don't quote me on that. Go to the website, see for yourself, and hey, I might be there. Maybe we can hang out and do whatever. All right, that's a wrap. Smash the like. Thank you to our guest today, Stephanie Link. Thanks to all of you in our chats, all of you watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, and yeah, those of you watching us on LinkedIn too. Hello, good morning. How are you? Please remember, all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes, not for investing or trading advice. That's a wrap. We're going live to Ryan, Mitch, Zunaid. Everyone, good luck today. Stay green. See you later.